Tonight, we debate 8 horror movie villains. Welcome back to another episode of Debate 8. This is the show where we pick a topic and you decide the winner. You vote live here tonight to decide tonight's topic, which is horror movie villains. I gotta be honest, this show is going to scare the hell out of me. I am not a horror person at all, but I knew that if I waited too long to do a horror movie, all you movie fans would be very upset. So tonight, I am mostly playing host tonight, but the fact that I am not a big horror person is not going to deter us from having an excellent debate. In fact, I'm bringing on 2 people tonight who are excellent aficionados of the horror genre. They are going to give their absolute best debates here tonight to give us the best movie villains. And we're kind of doing the classic villains tonight. I know there's some that you may think that we're missing, but don't worry, there's plenty of shows to have in the future. So if you have a horror villain that you're missing, don't worry, there's plenty of time down the road to revisit this topic and throw in some of those horror villains. But we have 8 excellent horror villains to go over tonight. But let's not wait any longer. I got my guests waiting in the green room. Let's bring them on. We have Ashleigh Burnell from the Movie Oracle and Daniel Berrios from the self-titled Daniel Berrios YouTube channel. Lady and gentlemen, my horror people, welcome to the show. How are you this evening and morning? Ashleigh it's morning for you where you are. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thanks.
It is a wonderful, wonderful evening in the land of Texas.
Well, it's a wonderful evening if you are a fan of horror. For me, I'm not even joking. As I was prepping for this show, all the images that I had to put together for this show, for the graphics, I even was scared just putting some of these pictures together. Like that's it was like flashbacks to my childhood too, because I know that like I've seen some of bits and pieces of these movies, and it scared the hell out of me when I was a kid, and it scares me now. Ashleigh, tell me about your horror background. Why do you love this genre so much? What is it about horror that makes you love it?
Horror has always been great. It's an escape genre. It's a really great way of confronting fears, phobias, and things, but in a safe setting. I mean, nobody's actually going to come and kill you and all that shit. Well, in this day and age, maybe they will, but that's the story. But it's so great, and I love that any story, anything, you could even take like a classic Disney tale and turn it into a horror movie. Like everything can become horror with the right twisted mind, and there are plenty of them out there, that's for sure.
Awesome. Dan, what about you? What's your horror background?
Horror is, again, my bread and butter. That's the thing that if I'm stuck on a Friday night and I don't know what to watch, I always end up watching a horror movie, because it's such a unique genre in that you're allowed to go as twisted as possible, but there's still this understanding of like some conventional rules and whatnot.
Okay.
You can pretty much go anywhere with it. You can be a comedy and be horror. You can be a psychological drama that really tears at your heartstrings and be horror. So horror isn't limited by some of the other conventions of other genres, and you can go absolutely buck fucking wild and have so much fun just relishing in your little evil side. It's fun. It gets to bring out a side of you that you don't normally get to do. Yeah.
You know what? At this point in my life, since I'm really scared of horror movies, I do like watching some of the older horror movies, because it doesn't scare me as much. Now it's a little more desensitized for me, but I love the fact that you guys are hardcore into it. What do you guys think about New Mutants? Are you excited for New Mutants and then the little horror aspect for that at all? No, not at all.
Like, for me, I don't see the horror in it per se, but that's just me. It just seems like, dark superhero type story. And it's been pushed and pushed that many times. I just don't care.
I am the opposite. I'm ready. This has been pushed so many times that I'm just here for the event of it. I want to wear like a New Mutants t-shirt with like the original release date on it. And I actually do really like Anya Taylor-Joy being cast as Magic. That first trailer gave a decent bit of horror vibes. And then I think the subsequent like inklings of information we've gotten from it are just kind of weird. So I'm excited. It might not be for the right reasons, but I'm excited.
All right. I like it. I like it very much. Well, if this is your first time here, what we do is we pick the topic, and tonight obviously is horror movie villains, and we do a tournament bracket style show. And by the end of the night, we are going to have one winner. And these, if you look to our left or right, I don't even know which way it is, but look, if you look at your screen, we have 8 incredible horror movie villains that we're going to be discussing tonight. So let's quickly run down these matchups. We got the number 1 seed Freddy Krueger going up against the number 8 seed of Chucky. We got the number 4 seed Jason Voorhees going up against the number 5 seed of Pinhead. The number 3 seed Leatherface going up against the number 6 seed of The Thing. And the number 2 seed Michael Myers going up against the 7 seed of The Blob. Let's get into it. Timer has started. We have the number 1 seed Freddy Krueger going up against the number 8 seed Chucky. Ashleigh, I'll throw it to you first. How do you feel about this matchup? Which one of these two horror movie villains do you think should move on to the next round?
It's no contest. It's Freddy Krueger, hands down. Freddy Krueger is the classic horror villain. He is so twisted and menacing, and he just loves to torture kids. That's really his bread and butter, screw you up for life. But also, if you just look at, we were just talking about like modus operandi, like Freddy kills you in your dreams. There's literally no way of escaping him because eventually you're gonna fall asleep. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
You can try and stay awake, but it's not really gonna work for you. And how do you fight something that's in your subconscious? It's a tricky thing, and
right.
and then sometimes he's not just in the dream. But Chucky, a serial killer who puts his soul into a doll. I'm sorry, I don't know how nobody is ever able to outrun a freaking doll. That makes no goddamn sense to me.
Right.
He's just always popping up, jumping out of ceilings, jumping out of closets. I'm like, with those tiny little legs, how the fuck did you even get up there? So yeah, I'm sorry. No contest for me at all. Freddy wins. Chucky, I like him better when he's just a regular serial killer. Also,
right.
How is he anatomically correct? Somebody please answer that.
Is he? Has there been a movie where you saw Chucky peen? Like, is that a thing?
He had another doll and she got pregnant.
Oh yeah, the Bride of Chucky, right? Right? Isn't it that?
Seed of Chucky.
Oh, okay, Seed of Chucky. Okay.
Dumbest scene ever. I will never recover from that.
Okay, Dan, let's move it on to you. Freddy Krueger, or look at this adorable guy, Chucky. Which one is your? What do you think about this matchup?
It is as simple as this. Even when Freddy wasn't killed by the parents, even when he was a normal guy, you can beat Chucky. A 6-year-old can beat Chucky.
Okay.
They've done it. It's a doll. You just tear its head off. It's not hard to kill the thing. I mean, I'll speak what I love about Chucky. I love the sadistic nature. Okay. I love just how much of a shit he is. And there is an element of surprise to him that he can sneak past people and kind of slit you Achilles heel style, kind of Pet Sematary style. But yeah, if we're talking like a full-on brawl, the only thing that might be kind of rad is if like somehow Freddy got into Chucky's dream, and Chucky, being that kind of doll persona and serial killer persona, if he was able to separate that and have like multiple Chuckies attacking, or like change his way of thinking, kind of Dream Warriors style, maybe. Okay. And that's kind of like, death by 1,000 cuts. But no, if we're talking about a doll, man, just light the fucker on fire.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. I mean, look, full warning, I'm just giving my opinion based on how I feel about, you know, pop culture-ness, because that's all I can go on. But man, growing up as a kid, Freddy Krueger scared the living shit out of me. I mean, the whole idea of haunting your dreams makes you literally never want to go to sleep. Okay. To me, Chucky was always like an evil Teddy Ruxpin. So it never really was like super scary to me, even though, like, yeah, it's fine. It's a doll.
Look, Teddy Ruxpin is scarier than Chucky is. You look at that face, that will fuck you in your sleep. That will kill you.
Probably. All right, let's go ahead and let's open up the vote. If this is your first time, this is how we vote. You do it right here in YouTube in the chat. All you have to do, if you want to vote for Freddy Krueger, do !vote1 in the chat. Remember, there is a space in between the word vote and 1, or at whatever number you're picking. And if you want to do Chucky, do !vote 8 in the chat. You'll know if you did it right. Well, one, you see a bunch of people in the chat already, all of our regulars who are here. They already know how to vote, so vote just like the way they are. But Streamlabs will also tell you if you voted correctly. It'll register your vote, so that's how you know if you did it correctly. So here's what I'm going to do, because I can't necessarily give my expert opinion. I want to read some of our chat here. Let's see. Kobe Mack is here. Kobe, welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out. Cruel, comedic, has flair, great catchphrases, crazy powerful, one of the coolest weapons in movie history. I'm assuming he's talking about the claw or the hand of Freddy there. Definitely. It's so iconic. He says Freddy. Oh yeah, Freddy with ease. Okay, so that he's going with that. Let's see.
You gotta appreciate that Freddy made that, as opposed to Chucky, who just picks up random knives wherever he goes, or, you know, basketball pumps, but whichever.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Let's see. You don't have to sleep. You don't have to be asleep to die, says Ryan. That's a very good point. But that is scary to think that you possibly, like, just the idea of the whole concept of never being able to go to sleep just scares the ever living bejesus out of me. I'm sorry. It totally does. But it doesn't matter.
Sleep, so I feel you.
Yeah, totally. But the time has ended.
Chugs caffeine.
Yeah, just Red Bull and coffee, like, for the rest of your life. Absolutely. Time is over. Freddy Krueger with 80. What do we end with? We ended with 83% of the vote. Freddy Krueger has moved on. Let's check it out in the bracket. Look at that. That's a commanding first round matchup for Freddy Krueger. It's going to be very tough for anyone to knock off the #1 seed, and that's probably why he's the #1 seed for a reason. Let's now jump into probably our toughest matchup of the first round. We're doing the #4 seed Jason Voorhees against #5 seed of Pinhead. Daniel, we're gonna start with you on this one. How do you feel about this matchup and these two competitors?
This is tough. If we're talking about character v character, well, Pinhead's, I guess, in control of an intergalactic dimension full of desire, and then Jason Voorhees is also undead, so you have to factor in what's undead versus undead. Does Pinhead have powers outside of his own dimension? Jason Voorhees, I think with this one, I'm going to have to go based on just the movies, because Hellraiser is fantastic. Just a wonderfully macabre, super twisted, demented movie about, sexual desire and just the evils that we succumb to carnally. But then Friday the 13th is just kind of like a grab bag of fun.
Yeah.
So if only for the fact that Friday 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 9, Jason Goes to Hell exists, I gotta go Jason Voorhees. I mean, you see it. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, he's got the shirt. He's got the shirt.
Look at that axe. Wait, I can't. I have to track my finger. It doesn't help that my finger's lagging here too. But look at that. Come on. How do you not vote for Jason in this one?
I like it. Ashleigh, what do you think about Jason versus Pinhead?
I agree with Daniel that this is a tough one. If we're looking at the franchises themselves, like, they're both never-ending franchises. They kind of keep spawning more movies, especially Hellraiser. And while I love the first one and I love the sequel, when I tried marathoning them, I think I gave up at 5 because it was just doing my head in. I'm just like, I feel like the Cenobites are in my room and I'm being tortured right now. This is my form of torture.
Jesus wept.
Exactly. But then again, as iconic as Jason is, I've always actually been more preferable to his mother, Pamela. I love her way more than I love Jason, and the Friday the 13th films just have so much inconsistency to them that it really gets under my skin. So I don't know how to judge the two, so I'm going to go based on sadistic level, and while Jason has some incredibly unique and highly entertaining kills to him, there's just some really... Jason's never scared me, and there are just some things that the Cenobites and Pinhead do to people that really just make you scared as hell. So I think on that front, if I'm going based on sadisticness, I'm going to go Pinhead.
Interesting. So we're a little mixed here. It's interesting about these two because one could say that maybe Jason has endured pop culture more than Pinhead has, but Colby Mack does make an excellent point right now, is that there is a Hellraiser TV show coming, so he could make his way back into it. Does pop culture make a difference to you, Dan?
No, it doesn't. Because if you show somebody a picture of Jason versus a picture of Pinhead, they're going to know who Jason is in a heartbeat. That mask is iconic. And really the thing with Friday the 13th as like a franchise is just there's been so many rights issues going on between like the original guy who did it, Sean Cunningham, and then everybody else who's trying to take on the project as well. So that might be why we haven't seen many Friday the 13th movies after the remake. I believe in 2009. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's... And then you've got the video game. The video game came out and people love it to a big aplomb. It's a super fun version of this game. And I don't know, there's no question in my mind that Jason is just the better, more iconic villain.
Yeah.
I see where you're going, Ashleigh, and I respect it. I just gotta love Jason more.
But isn't Hellraiser based on the comics?
I don't know.
Oh, challenged.
Hellraiser was set on... it's Clive Barker, so wasn't it comics first? If so, then that's a whole other level of
that could be
that Jason I don't think has really been able to tap into.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there's no if we're actually being real, if we're being real here, Hellraiser, the one movie, is better than I think most, if not all, of the Friday movies. Just on a level of like what it does and how it executes its mission. But if we're talking the whole thing, I don't know, I think it's Jason just by diversity.
I will also say that also sequel-wise, at least the Hellraiser sequel ties in 100% with the first one. It makes sense. You get how one flows from the other. The villains cross over. There is a lot going on that's the same. We're dealing with the same characters. Whereas Friday the 13th, it's like, oh, Jason's alive and he's fully grown. What? Okay, we're just going to accept this. Okay, that's all right, whatever.
It just depends, I guess, on what you want. If you want just a silly movie, whenever I watch a bunch of movies in a row, Friday the 13th movies are always a good palate cleanser because you can just kind of turn your brain off, let it go, and have fun with it. Whereas, I don't know, it just depends on what you want out of your horror.
To be scared.
Or just watch Jason grab a chick, put her in a sleeping bag, and smash her against a tree. Or put her in liquid nitrogen and dunk her face in.
Jesus.
Yeah, but for me, that's comedy. I can laugh at that shit for days. Those are my favorite moments. Jason X rules.
Well, that got dark really quickly. All right, let's open the poll. Yeah, let's open the poll. Let's see what the people see. You guys made some really excellent, compelling arguments for both sides. I love how on far different reaches you guys are on this one. If you want to vote for Jason Voorhees, definitely do exclamation vote 4 in the chat. If you want to vote for Pinhead, do exclamation vote 5. Let's see what the people are saying. The ambassador is here. Hello, good sir. He's saying going with Jason. The guy feels no pain, has next to no fear, and just is a freaking tank. Colby Mack says Jason's a relentless machine, but Pinhead's pretty much is the master of interdimensional hell. He's kind of a ripoff of Freddy, but let's make this a movie argument. Give me Jason. Okay.
Yeah, Skull Queen. Thank you for voting for Pinhead too.
Mike Porter says I went to the first Friday 13th when I was a freshman in high school. Jason is my favorite. Okay, so a lot of love for Jason here.
Wait. Is the most popular. There is no denying that.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't Jason get beat by that psychic chick in part 7?
Yeah.
So Pinhead, interdimensional stuff. If we're talking psychokinesis, he might be able to beat him in a fight. Although, is it one of those things where like he might be able to like slow Jason down enough that Jason
Pinhead also pretty much has an army of Cenobites at his side.
Still don't know what a Cenobite is. I keep you keep saying Cenobite, and I keep thinking Cinnabon. Like I know I'm wrong, but I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Your desire of the cream will be your downfall, Adam.
Pinhead is a Cenobite. That's his species, and so there's a whole bunch of them just like him that are all about either giving you extreme pleasure or
he's like the Borg,
pain.
right? Is he like the Borg? Am I speaking too nerdy here?
Not nerdy in the right way.
Okay, in the wrong way. I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason Voorhees is the favorite of people here in the chat. So Jason Voorhees is moving on with 73% of the vote. So once again, another. Oh well, maybe if I actually hit save, that might do. Oh, there we go. It pops up. Okay, so 73% of the vote. Jason Voorhees is moving on. Another commanding victory. So that's going to be a nice matchup in the second round. Let's now move on to the third matchup of the first round. We have number 3 seed Leatherface going up against the number 6 seed of The Thing. Where did I go? Oh, hey. Uh-oh. Something's wrong. Oh, well, don't worry about me. You guys go ahead and talk. Here I am. I'm here. Oh no! Too many Cinnabons. Okay, we'll start with Ashleigh on this one. We have Leatherface with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and this ugly motherfucker on my screen that really is very frightening. Ashleigh, please talk about these two and tell me why one needs to move on.
Okay, this is tough. They're also both so vastly different, but I have to go with Leatherface for a reason. The Thing is, it's an entity, but it doesn't have a personality. It doesn't really have anything for me that makes it go, oh my god, that's really scary. For me, I just remember The Thing mostly because you're just like, wow, the practical effects are just phenomenal on this thing. But I'm just like, but what is it? We know it's pretty much extraterrestrial. We don't know much else. And like I said, it doesn't have a personality and you can't hold a conversation with it, even if it's just to be like, I'm going to kill you. There's none of that.
Right.
Leatherface, while it's not exactly the best franchise in the world, despite the fact they keep bloody making them and they have not once been consistent with his character or his storyline, he's a horror character who you can actually have sympathy for. There's been a lot into his background. He is based on a real-life serial killer, so that makes him a little bit more terrifying because you immediately associate him with something that is very real.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not counting the times where they've gone and done a sequel and it's not Jason Voorhees who is Leatherface. I'm not even going to touch that one. But yeah, there's just something, he's one of the rare times where you can go, oh my god, I feel kind of compassion for this guy. He's actually a multifaceted horror villain compared to a lot of the others. There are layers to him, and I really appreciate that. But also when he's just like, family says ready, set, go, he's just a mindless killing machine. And the picture that you've used is just such an iconic scene for Leatherface, where he's just like a maniac wielding that chainsaw around. I love it. So Leatherface for me.
Uh-oh. All right, Dan, I think Dan's coming back with props.
Oh god.
I think we know where he's going. Uh-oh.
Why has he got all the props?
I accidentally locked my wife out of the apartment.
Oh,
My
okay.
bad.
I thought you were. I was worried. I thought you were gonna come back with like a chainsaw or something. There we go.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough. Yeah, I don't have a chance. Honestly, this is hard because I will say, as personality goes, she's right about everything. Leatherface is just the more complex, the more compelling character. There's just so much in his heart.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like that romantic feeling that it's macabre and weird, and he tries to dry hump a chick with a chainsaw.
Whoa.
But you can see this kind of like stunted child underneath all of this. And there's an argument to be made that he's one of the first transgender icons in horror as well, just with the masks and the makeup and whatnot. And really what this is boiling down to is, again, another hard question for me. Which is the better movie? I can't ignore all of the sequels that may make no sense. They may have Alexander Daddario, but they're terrible. So by a really, really slim margin. And I didn't think this was going to happen, but I think I'm going Leatherface.
Wow.
And the reason why, The Thing is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's one of the best, just pure sci-fi creature feature gore effects ever. And John Carpenter is a master of suspense.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre that really didn't get me about The Thing, Texas Chainsaw disturbed me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I think, a little bit, deeper in the way it scares you. It's a movie that really tackles our fear of not being in control, not being human. We're just slabs of meat. And there's multiple references in the movie. Like there's the one guy that's in the wheelchair, so he has no control over his body. There's a chase scene kind of shot in blue that seems like a dream sequence. Whenever you're being chased in a dream, you feel like you can't really run correctly. So you're losing control of your body,
right.
That body betraying you. There's multiple facets of that. And when you see it in that house, it just looks like something out of a nightmare. So by a really, really, really slim margin, it's got to be Leatherface.
I'm going to open the poll because I honestly think The Thing actually has a pretty good shot here. I've been reading the chat and a lot of people are giving love to The Thing. I don't know if it's going to win, but people are giving it way more love than I thought. If you want to vote for Leatherface, give exclamation vote 3 in the chat. If you want to do The Thing, do exclamation vote 6 in the chat. Like here, I know Ambassador was talking highly on it. Not to mention it's The Thing is more iconic. Also, can we just say John Carpenter? And Dan, I know you spoke about John Carpenter about this. Excellent filmmaker. And clearly he knows what he's doing. But I don't know if it's enough to get Leatherface to push on for sure. Jacob Anders says, I'm in the minority, but I never liked the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ashleigh, is Jacob crazy or is he right on this one?
You know what? It's going to be very based individual.
Obviously. I'm not trashing on Jacob. Jacob's awesome guy.
There's a lot to appreciate artistically about The Thing, especially, like I said, special effects wise. It's something that I only recently watched last year, and while I didn't love it, it's impossible to walk away and go, that was like really lame. No, because even in the 21st century, I'm just like, how did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't look at The Thing as a horror villain. For me, it's just an alien entity that just kind of was trying to survive. Leatherface is just a disturbed, messed up individual who likes to kill and eat people.
Right.
And the fact that the entire setting for Leatherface, well, for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all those films, it's in Texas. They're people who, some of the characters are like, we go to chili cook-offs. You don't know that you're eating people. It's done in a way where it's like you can see this house existing and these people existing, and just walking in, it's just you knocked on the wrong door one day. And that does actually happen. So
does it?
I think hey, obviously you don't listen to any real life horror stories.
I don't. I promise you, I really don't listen to any of those. All right, but clearly, even though the thing was getting love in the chat, not enough love for all the voters. So Leatherface is moving on with 64% of the vote. Let's take a look at the bracket. Moving on, you know, the common theme for these is the higher seeds are really crushing the first round. So let's see if Michael Myers, the number 2 seed, can continue the tread, or if we're going to have an upset of the 7 seed of the Blob. Dan, we're going to start with you on this one. We got a classic one here versus the Blob, which has multiple iterations. We got the one from the 50s, and then we got the one in the 80s. How do you feel about this matchup here?
Okay, really hard, because these are movies that are dear to my heart. Halloween '78, my favorite horror movie, just flat out, point blank, period. And yet, do I have it? Hang on, I'm trying to see. No, my prop is gone. Damn it. I have The Blob from 1958 on Criterion. I think it's an excellent film. It's just a classic B movie. And really, if we're talking villain v villain, because of the way the canon has kind of shifted it, and we're not totally convinced that Michael Myers is not just human, the Blob would win. Because, I mean, it's really the only thing you can do to the Blob is slow it down with ice. And Michael Myers, I mean, he's in Haddonfield, which gets cold in the winter, but if they're in a fight, it's not like he can grab it and, like, take it somewhere. It's going to consume and eat him. But if we're talking about the movie, man, this is really hard. And those effects for the Blob in 1988, oh my God. Just visceral, grimy, and it's such a smorgasbord of what, you know, the 80s could do. Damn it. I guess
I know we behind the curtains here, before the show, I always give the guests a chance to kind of pre-rank, to kind of do the rankings, and I know you had the Blob pretty high on your pre-show ranking, so this has to be tough for you.
Yeah, because technically, if you put these guys against the Blob, technically the Blob can just win and consume most everybody, especially Chucky. God, like, why? But you know what? I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna go with the Blob. I think the Blob can do it.
All right. Wow. Pulling for the upset here, Ashleigh. Do you see it the same way Dan does, or are you going Halloween here?
If we're talking about in terms of who would win in a fight, yes, obviously the Blob would win, because it just consumes everything in his path. And a butcher knife is really not going to get in the freaking way. So Michael would finally meet his match about goddamn time. But in terms of a horror villain, again, I don't see the Blob as a horror villain. To be a villain, you have to have a form of intelligence, and you actually have to have that thought process to actually want to inflict pain and harm on others. And the Blob isn't like that. It's not that kind of entity. For it's just doing its thing. That's just what it is. It's just surviving, and this is just how it survives. So you can't really get mad at it. It's like getting mad at a lion for eating a wildebeest. It's like, well, what did you expect it to do? Michael Myers, on the other hand, is just a born psychopath. He has no soul. And seriously, I still to this day don't know why he's obsessed with killing his family members. I mean, they tried to go into like satanic cult, you know, with like the 5th one, and that just makes no goddamn sense. But Michael is iconic. He does represent that again, that real life thing about those people in the world who just, they don't have a soul, they don't have a conscience, they just hurt and kill indiscriminately. And he is the Energizer Bunny. It's still one of the funniest things where you're running, no matter what, he's still right behind you. It's just like he's a power walker, you know. He's got supreme power walking skills.
Well, Skull Queen in the chat just says Myers perfected social distancing, and that's absolutely true. It's a great comment for sure. All right, let's see what the people have to say. Michael Myers, the Blob. Let's start the vote. If you want to vote for Michael Myers, do exclamation vote 2 in the chat. If you want to vote for the Blob, do exclamation vote 7. For those who are just jumped in, remember there is a space between the word vote and the number, so definitely throw it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and see what some of these people are saying for sure. Jacob Anders says, when I saw the Blob in theaters, it scared the shit out of me because it killed a kid. I mean, just looking at this wacko Play-Doh, it would scare the hell out of me too.
I mean, if we were comparing these two films based on music, I would say it would be neck and neck. Because first of all, you have the iconic Halloween theme song, which during October is my ringtone. And actually my alarm tone. That's to wake me up in the morning. That's the weirdest thing you want to wake up to. Like the sound of fires coming your way.
Right.
It's my phone. It's my phone ringtone.
But also, as I was saying before we started the show, the Blob has the most awesome theme song in the history of theme songs. I'm addicted to that shit.
I think I gotta go listen to it after this. If you're giving it that much praise, huh?
It's like it's got this. It's definitely this 50s tune, but it kind of reminds me of like Hawaiian Eye. It's just very boppy, like I'm expecting someone to get lays in a ukulele or something. But we're talking about a space creature that's eating people, but it's so goddamn catchy.
All right.
It's amazing. What is it? Burt Bacharach did that one, and they originally were gonna have. Yeah, they were originally gonna have like the original like theme composer do it, but then the studio was like, "No, we kind of need something like it's something more poppy." So it's like, "Beware of the blob, it creeps and creeps and slides and glides across the floor." And it's so fun.
Okay.
And then the theme song is like the opening credits are so lazy. It's literally just like a formless shape around the screen that warbles towards the screen, but it's just such a love for the 50s, man. And it's such a gorgeous looking movie too. I really think if you want to get a good idea of what small town America looks like, or at least what the 50s interpretation of small town America looks like, and Steve fucking McQueen, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gotta be impressed with the Blob in terms of special effects for the 50s. That was impressive stuff.
Especially since they had to shoot some of it with the camera like upside down, and they had a bunch of miniatures for it and a lot of matte paintings. It's fun.
That's how you make shit work.
Awesome.
Damn right.
I think I might check this out. Look, 50s a movie from the 50s is old enough for me, I think, to watch it and not be scared. I think
won't be scared by the Blob,
okay,
unless you start thinking about it too hard.
Which I might. It's a very good chance that I might like way overthink it. I don't know. All right, look, we've made it to the through the first round. We now have the top 4 seeds make it to the second round. It's pretty often that this happens, but it's just gonna make for an even incredible second round here. Before we get to the second round, though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below. Look, YouTube really likes when we hit the like button. I don't know, it really promotes stuff, and I hate begging for likes, and it's so fucking stupid. But if you want to do it, give me a like. If you hate the show, hit a dislike. I really don't care. But I just want to throw it out there. If you want to throw a like, that would be great. So let's get into the second round. We got the number 1 seed of Freddy Krueger going up against the number 4 seed of Jason Voorhees. Man, now we're getting to the thick of things, right? Now we're getting to the heavy hitters, the pop culture icons, the iconic villains of our day. Ashleigh, we will start with you. Which one of these do you think would take this matchup?
I love that with this matchup, we've actually seen it. Regardless of whether the film is good or not, the fact that we've actually seen these two iconic characters duking it out is still...
Well, you have. I haven't. You have.
Well, that's because you're weird. But it's just the fact that they're so different, and yet they're so... I mean, what we got when we watched that film, we see that Freddy Krueger is no longer in the dream world, he's in the real world, and the two of them are duking it out. And in terms of, like, stamina, they're pretty much equally matched. They were, cutting each other's body parts and still going. And even by the end of it, Jason has decapitated Freddy. And Freddy's still alive. even though I guess it's like the underworld of what the F ever, but
Right.
it's just, oh, I have to go with Freddy because I love him so much, but I love that when it comes to the two of them, Jason just goes for pure brutality, and Freddy is so much more sadistic. He wanted to hit him where it hurts. He wanted to psychologically fuck this dude up. And that's a really good advantage because you wouldn't think looking at this menacing dude that you could do that. Again, it messes with mythology,
Right.
but the fact he's just like, and I'm going to use water against you, and I'm going to use your mom against you. It's like, yep, let's bring on the your mama jokes. I love that Freddy has the frame of mind to actually get into a person's psyche. That's where he lives. And for me, that's more superior than brute force. So I have to stick with my guy Freddy on this one.
All right,
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, Ashleigh's leaning Freddy. Dan, how do you see it?
I agree 100%. As much as I love Jason, and she said it so perfectly that with Jason, you're getting brutality for the most part against just like people you don't like anyway. And so you get the same kick out of it that you would watching Mortal Kombat. But there is something about watching Mortal Kombat when somebody is trolling someone else. There's something about watching a really good boxer mess and get in somebody else's head. And Freddy is just an asshole. That's the best part. The fun of Freddy is the way he enjoys screwing with these people. I mean, hell, the Dream Warriors, the part where he's making the kid like want to have sex with the nurse, but then oh no, it's Freddy, so screw you, it's in the dream. You get to die coming and going. But that welcome to prime time, bitch. Like, come on. There's so much fun. And even if we're just talking about straightforward movies, you've got Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and New Nightmare. And my underrated pick here, Freddy 2. I think Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is great. Like, genuinely fun, changes the formula up a bit. It keeps Freddy sadistic, like that scene where he basically locks all the kids near the pool, and he's just like, all right, let's have some fun, and just like go out and kill people. Freddy is just a dick. And I think it also helps that Robert Englund has voiced him throughout the entire series. There's one voice of Freddy. There's one performance of Freddy. He's a more realized, focused character where, as much as I love Jason, there are so many different incarnations of him that it doesn't really... It's just not the same. It's kind of like taking Hugh Jackman out as Wolverine. You know, you can't... It takes a really hard time to see something different. So yeah, It's Freddy Krueger all the way.
All right, let's see what the people have to say. If you want to vote for Freddy Krueger, go ahead and do exclamation vote 1 in the chat. If you want to do Jason Voorhees, exclamation vote 4 in the chat. I think this is actually going to be pretty close. I've been reading the chat. People all over the place. We got Ambassador saying Jason for the win. We got Colby saying, oh yeah, Freddy versus Jason is such a classic film, but Freddy is still the GOAT. Let's see, we got James saying Robert Englund, coolest dude ever. Vic saying Freddy is the scariest motherfucker ever. Skull says totally voting Freddy. J Buck says Freddy versus Jason is the most ambitious cinematic crossover, period. Absolutely. We got Dan Jensen here saying, as much as I love Jason, Freddy has a much more interesting character and abilities. I think you guys would probably agree with that one. Jacob Anders says Freddy would whoop Jason's ass in the dream world. Mike Porter says, I grew up with Jason, but there's no denying Freddy for me. Jason by a nose. So look, tiny bit of love thrown out for Jason there, but the votes are coming in, man. And Freddy, it's Ashleigh, look at this. Freddy is kicking ass here. I mean, it's going to be tough for anyone to beat Freddy, I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I love that so many people have their own like Freddy stories. Like, he seems to be like the character most people have nightmares about because that's literally where he lives. Like, my brother, he used to be terrified of this ghost train because there was a guy in the ghost train who was dressed like Freddy Krueger, and he ran around trying to scare you. So he became traumatized by that. and he always told me that Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the first horror films he ever watched. My sister locked him in his room, and when he tried to get out, she punched him in the face and pinned him to the bed and forced him to watch it. And he's been traumatized by Freddy ever since.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that would traumatize me too.
Not your sister? It's not like your sister kicks Freddy's ass. Like, what the hell?
She, to this day, does not recall this ever happening. And I brought it up, and she's like, I don't recall this happening. My brother's like, you punched me, and my nose was bleeding. She's like, whatever you say.
Right.
Your sister had a psychotic breakdown. That's what happened.
Oh man. All right, let's move on to the next matchup of the second round. We have the number 3 seed of Leatherface going up against the number 2 seed of Michael Myers. Man, this one I think is going to be tough even for you guys to discuss. Daniel, we'll start with you on this one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, these two very iconic characters. How do you see this matchup going?
Okay, let me think here. Because I think if we're talking stamina and we're talking physical strength, I think these guys are pretty evenly matched. And if I stick with canon, like no supernatural, whatever, like the canon is that Michael Myers and Leatherface are both human, but they're really strong guys. I think it's got to be Michael Myers just because I see him as more focused. I see Leatherface getting easily distracted by something. And I do see that, I don't know, the mask fits a little looser on Leatherface than it does on Michael. So, like, if you really want to get dirty, you can kind of, like, pull the mask and then mess with it. And I think chainsaw as a weapon is a bit more cumbersome than just, like, a regular knife.
You can throw a knife.
You can throw a knife. I mean, you can throw a chainsaw, too, but it's really easy to kind of just deflect it or move out of the way.
I don't think it's easy to deflect a chainsaw. I mean, look.
Well, if you're Michael Myers deflecting a chainsaw,
okay, maybe.
Anything.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And we also have to think that Leatherface is kind of like a simple-minded individual, whereas Michael Myers is a tactician. Mm-hmm. He's got like a sixth sense of humor that I really enjoy, and there's a little bit of personality in there. I mean, hell, this is the guy that does, put on the little sheet with the glasses on top of it and walks into the room to pretend to be the girl's boyfriend. So he does have like a strategy in place on how to mess with people. And I think Leatherface is a little too just kind of loosey-goosey to really take it as seriously as I think Michael would take. So yeah, I'm going Michael Myers here.
Okay, Ashleigh, do you feel the same way?
I too have to go Michael Myers on this one. If I'm just looking at it from a psychological standpoint, which is pretty much how I like to go into these, because psychology is one of my favorite things about horror and horror villains. Comparing the two, Michael Myers is the epitome of the natural-born psychopath, which I've said before, but he is an alpha, and Leatherface is more of a beta. He doesn't have his own kind of will. He's always acting on the will of others. It's, his uncle, his mother, his grandmother, aunt, whatever. Or it's even like it's dead relatives. It's like, well, these are like the rules we've put in place for you. Now you just got to follow them for the rest of the time. He doesn't know how to think for himself. And when he does, he gets very confused. He gets very torn between, do I do this? Do I do this? Between what he wants, what other people want. So he is very easy to control and to manipulate. And so in that front, Michael would obviously kick the ever-living shit out of him. And we've kind of seen that you can actually weaken and slow down Leatherface. Mm-hmm. Like there was that moment where he's getting his leg chopped up by his own chainsaw, and you can see he feels pain. He's very aware of it, and it does slow him down. Michael stabbed him in the chest, and he's just like, Did you touch me? Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. So, yeah, I got to go Michael. Michael, I think, is the superior horror villain over Leatherface.
Okay, that's very interesting. I know we got some dissenting opinions in the chat, but let's get the vote going so that we can see exactly how people are saying. If you want to vote for Leatherface, do !vote 3 in the chat. If you want to do Michael Myers, do exclamation vote 2. I know Dan in the chat's been hardcore pushing for Leatherface. He had a couple comments here saying Leatherface came first. There may have not been a Michael Myers if it weren't for Leatherface. Boom. So he's saying Leatherface was the OG. What do you think about that? If it wasn't for Leatherface, there would be no Michael Myers.
No, I don't see that at all. If you want to trace Halloween, I'm thinking you go to Psycho first, because Halloween the movie follows more of the Psycho slasher formula than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think. Although Texas Chainsaw Massacre has like
based on the same person.
Yeah, I mean.
Both Psycho's Norman Bates and Leatherface are both inspired by Ed Gein. So ultimately, everything is an inspiration of something, and that's one thing that I actually love about horror films that they do way more than any other genre, is that they are always paying a homage to other horror films and something that came from it, but they're always trying to do, but here's my spin on it, and here's how I want to change it out while showing that this is how I got my idea because this is what I love. And I do appreciate that. But yeah, no, there are just too many other stories that you can kind of take from and get Michael Myers, whereas Leatherface is very specific, whereas Michael can come from a multitude of other characters and other real life stories. So I wouldn't say that without Leatherface. I think even if there was no Leatherface, there would have been a Michael Myers.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it's Michael Myers is the idea of evil incarnate, and that to me is such a basic kind of like over supernatural idea that you can, it's not because of the portrayal of the chainsaw that we got this guy. It's just a serial killer can be anybody. So I don't know. I don't see the correlation specifically.
Gotcha. So Dan is stupid, what you're saying. I completely agree. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, Dan. No, just kidding. All right, so let's get back into the bracket. We have Michael Myers winning with another commanding 75% of the votes. So look, this is how we got to the finals here. We got the number 1 seed, Freddy Krueger, meeting up against the number 2 seed of Michael Myers. This one is going to be a crazy one. There's the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed for a reason. So let's see how Freddy Krueger got there. Freddy Krueger destroyed Chucky. Then Freddy Krueger destroyed Jason Voorhees to get to the finals. Michael Myers destroyed the Blob and then destroyed Leatherface. So you got to imagine that when we get to this matchup, Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, man, I think this is probably going to be our closest vote of the night. Ashleigh, we're going to start with you on this one. We got the Dream Man and we got the half zombie dude, I guess. How do you feel about this? Both of these have tons of movies, both super iconic. Both, when it comes to October and Halloween, you still see these characters being portrayed by people in costumes. So what do you think about these matchups?
I mean, this is 2/3 of the holy trinity of iconic horror villains, with the main 3 being Freddy, Michael, and Jason. And oh my god, this is actually really hard, despite the fact that, okay, on a personal level, my preference is Freddy because he has characterizations and he has a personality, and as it is, we all live for the sadisticness that is Freddy Krueger. That's why we love him. If Freddy didn't say anything and he didn't have his catchphrases and he wasn't so in people's heads, would we find him that interesting? Probably not. But if we were like trying to say who would win if they were duking it out, I can't see who would win because Freddy gets in people's heads and there's nothing in Michael's head. He's just blank. He doesn't have any fears. He doesn't have a conscience. He doesn't have anything that he loves or any traumatic memories. He's everybody's traumatic memory. So I don't see like Freddy having a leg up on Michael. I mean, does Michael even sleep? I don't think he does. He just kind of keeps going.
That's a good point.
Did he? So
I guess.
I don't know. I'm still gonna stick with Freddy because I love him so much, and he, for me, is just a superior character. But if the two of them are in a fight, it is any man's game because I have no idea who's it.
All right, so Ashleigh's still on the fence until it's voting time. Dan, how do you feel about this matchup?
The one thing that I think Freddy might have on Michael in an actual fight is the memory of Michael's sister having sex and what that did to snap Michael's break. Because that's really the one solid, the closest thing to a motive that we have for Michael is that he is innocence broken and then just all hell broke loose. So I guess if you found a way to make Michael somehow recoil back to that innocence, even then, I think he would respond out of rage and not really submission. So in the dream world, it's going to be tough. In the real world, again, Michael's technically still human, but it's that mystery and ambiguity that kind of keeps it fluid. So, I mean, my heart, I love the movie Halloween. I think it's an extraordinary film, just a simple, straightforward slasher film made to the best degree possible. It's not really the most complicated idea ever, but it's executed so damn well that, it just sends chills up my spine. And then you've got Freddy, who's just a force of personality. So I guess if we're talking the most iconic villain, you got to go with Freddy Krueger. But honestly, I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm going Michael Myers.
Okay. That's very interesting. I would say from a layman's point of view, one who has not seen the movies, my overall take would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael Myers seems more of like a slasher film, and Freddy Krueger seems more like a psychological F with your head kind of film. And if that were the case, I think what would scare me the most would be Freddy Krueger. Because a hack'em job is gory, but I'm still stuck on the whole sleep thing. Like, it's still stuck in my head, the fact that you can't go to sleep. Not to mention that glove is so iconic. I mean, there's only two people in this world, in this pop culture reference world, where you have a claw for a hand, and that's Wolverine and that's Freddy Krueger, and those are the two. And so he's got that down as well. But if you want to vote for Freddy Krueger, do vote 1 in the chat. If you want to do Michael Myers, do vote 2. We are already super close. Freddy Krueger, slight lead right now. Let's see what the people are saying. Dan says it's irrelevant anyway because Sadako would lay waste to all those motherfuckers. I don't know who that is, but you might know.
Yes. Japanese villain.
Okay, perfect. James says Gremlins 2 for the win, so we got the write-in vote there. Jacob,
Gremlins for the win.
Jacob says Freddy's gonna execute Mike's ass. Curtis says Ernie gonna go Halloween scariest movie made still. Just kidding. Ambassador said, Ernie's. Ambassador says nope. Michael Myers, I'd be more iconic. And again, can we just say John Carpenter? So, man, this has been literally the closest vote, and time is about to run out. And it looks like Freddy Krueger is gonna pull away with the win with almost 57% of the vote. I mean, Ashleigh, are you surprised that it's this close? And I'm sure, I didn't see who you voted. Did you vote for Freddy?
Yeah, I voted for Freddy. I could not. Also, I feel like I need to give him an extra point because he comes with a really menacing, sadistic nursery rhyme that's there to torment little kids, but it's all the little kids singing it. And, Michael just has his own little, theme too. But yeah, I'm how can I not go with Freddy? I mean, it's so hard when you're talking about such iconic characters as these are.
Yeah, that was a tough round. Just so close, 57% to 43%. Freddy Krueger has been crowned the winner, the best horror movie villain, according to you, the wonderful people in the chat. Again, this show would be nothing if it wasn't for everyone who comes here watching. We got the drill. We're ready to go hack some people up. This is awesome. Thank you everyone for coming in and voting and hanging out and talking movie villains with us. This has been a blast. Look at Ashleigh's blanket. Was that a blanket or a quilt? What is that?
It's a blanket, but I'm showing off Freddy on the blanket.
There you go. There we got our winner. Ashleigh, Daniel, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. This has been a blast. You guys really rocked it tonight and really brought the knowledge. Oh, there we go. There's our second place winner.
Wait, show off the Killer Clown from Outer Space. That's another one. If we do a part 2 for this, we gotta have a Killer Clowns from Outer Space party. That movie's excellent.
There we go. Yeah, no, I got a lot of crap for not having Pennywise on here, but we were trying to do a little bit more.
Wasn't on here.
Yeah, originally we were trying to do. I was trying to do more like classic, like 80s. So that was sort of the angle we were doing. But look, we'll do more horror. Clearly, everyone loves the horror more than I really thought. So we'll definitely do another horror. Ashleigh, please tell the people out there what you're doing. Tell them about your YouTube channel. Ashleigh's channel is awesome. Please tell them what's going on with your channel and everything going on.
Well, aside from the casual movie reviews, occasionally top 10s and TV reviews, I have a movie trivia game show, which the amazing Adam has been a guest competitor on, and so has Daniel. Daniel is actually currently in the Hall of Fame. So, episodes of those are resuming. There's an episode dropping this week. My Story Behind series is back in full swing, where I talk about the real life story behind mostly horror films or other fucked up movies, and I tell you the real stuff behind them, and a lot of Charmed related stuff because I'm a bit obsessed, and often horror related stuff because I'm also obsessed with that. So
yeah, aren't you doing a Charmed with Krista Maldonado, right? Aren't you doing something with her?
Yeah, we're doing a collab this weekend, so hopefully that video drops this weekend as well.
Awesome. Very cool. Daniel, please let everyone know about your awesome channel and what you're doing lately.
The channel, I just dropped a video for the Fantastic Four fan cast in the MCU.
Nice.
No John Krasinski, no Emily Blunt.
What?
I made it harder for myself. I had more fun. I got shit talked about it, and then I tagged Josh Trank on Twitter, and so now we're friends apparently.
Awesome.
So that happened. I'm also a writer for Shuffle Online, a fantastic website. I've got reviews going there. I'm going to be reviewing Capone this weekend. Super excited about that. And yeah, other than that, you just follow me on Twitter. There should be a link somewhere down there, I think.
Yeah, after that review, we'll see if you and Trank are still friends. So hopefully.
We're gonna be friends. I think
Okay.
we'll be cool.
All right.
You know, seems like a good dude.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much for hanging out. This has been a blast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself. We'll get you back on in the future for sure if you guys want to come on. So thank you guys so much for hanging out.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, awesome. These guys are great. Please, all the links that you need to know for them are in the description below. Their Twitter, their YouTube. Go check them out. They're amazing people. Go check out their stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out. This show is nothing without all you people. I can't wait. Check us out in the morning show, weekday mornings, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. We do a morning show. We talk about movie news, all this awesome fun stuff. Come hang out. I'll see you all later. Come back next week. We'll talk more movies.